Hello, everybody. Welcome to Module 2. This week, we are going to be learning about a specific type of language arts. We're going to be talking about speaking and listening, which is sometimes a very neglected topic when you think about the language arts. First of all, I want to say you guys did a great job on your infographics last week. I thought they were very interesting as you really looked at the 6 language arts: speaking, listening, reading, writing, viewing, and visual, actually visualizing and then viewing. So you did a great job with that and connecting that to Scarborough's reading rope and the science of reading. So I wanted you to think about all of that as we go through the class. So what I'm going to do, first of all, is just talk to you a little bit about speaking and listening, and then we're going to get into your assignments. So before kids can read or write, they listen and they speak. Every other language arts grows from the speaking and listening. So the power of oral language is so important. Oral language is at the heart of literacy, and research shows that the amount and quality of talk experiences impacts vocabulary, comprehension, and even writing development. So when we give students the opportunity to use language for real purposes, to question things, to explain, to persuade, to collaborate, they're not just learning to talk, but they're learning to think. And that's really critical. So there's been quite a bit of research. Hart and Risley had an outstanding research project, which they talked about the vast differences in early language exposure between kids, different types of kids. And we know that some kids come to school with vastly underdeveloped language experiences. But more recent research by Pauline Gibbons, it reminds us that structured classroom talk helps all students, especially multilingual learners. Having those structured talks helps to internalize academic language and reasoning. So, what does effective speaking and listening look like? That's what we're going to talk about now. And I want to show you, first of all, some standards, and these are going to be the standards for what we call anchor standards for speaking and listening. So let me show you that. So all I've done here is these are the anchor standards for the Common Core standards. What I would encourage all of you to do is to look at, if you're in Florida, you could look at the Florida Best Standards. If you are, whatever state you're in, whatever standards you follow, see what the speaking and listening standards are, because many times these are totally ignored. So what I have here are the standards and how they progress from kindergarten up through 9th grade. So one standard is comprehension and collaboration. So in kindergarten, that's going to look like participating in conversations with peers and adults with text about text and supports. In 1st and 2nd grade, we're going to build on others' talks by commenting, asking questions, and that goes all the way up to 11th and 12th grade, where students should initiate and participate in discussions, promoting civil democratic dialogue and building on diverse perspectives. Man, think about all that's happening in the United States. If this was happening more in schools, it would be a really good thing, wouldn't it, to have that civil discourse. Another standard, integrating and evaluating information presented in diverse media and formats. So again, kindergartners are going to confirm understanding of a text read aloud. And all the way up to 12th grade, we want to integrate multiple sources from diverse media. Are they credible? Are they accurate? Are they relevant? Evaluating a speaker's point of view. Presentation, this gets to the speaking presentation of knowledge and ideas, and using digital media and visual displays, to adapting speech to a variety of contexts. So I wanted to show you this because I wanted you to see that there are standards for speaking and listening. whatever state you're in, you need to really this week, I want you to look at your state standards. If you're homeschooling, I want you to think about what are the speaking and listening standards that you are using. So we know we have those standards. So what does speaking and listening instruction look like? Well, it's having purposeful conversations that build understanding. That could be think, pair, share. Maybe you've done that. Structured academic discussions, Socratic seminars, storytelling circles. All of those are going to help with speaking. Now, this week, one of the assignments that you're going to be doing is you're going to write a lesson plan in which you are emphasizing speaking and listening. You're going to teach a part of that. I'm going to show you this in a minute and video record that, and you're going to post that. But I'm wanting you to think about some ideas. So you could do think, pair, shares, structured academic conversations, Socratic seminars for older kids, maybe storytelling. So I want you to think about how could you structure conversations in that lesson. The listening side. How do we respond to others' ideas? Do you have protocols for that? Are you teaching students to ask clarifying questions? Can students summarize what they've read? So listening is comprehension, and it's the foundation of empathy. It's the foundation of understanding. Another thing, another important aspect of listening and speaking is it provides equity, and it provides all of us with a voice. So who gets to speak in the classroom and who doesn't get to speak in a classroom? We need to create opportunities where every student gets to share and build both confidence and community. That means designing structures for listening and speaking where quieter students get to talk, where English language learners feel safe, where ideas are valued and communicated. And I want you to think from a faith-based perspective. Speaking and listening mirrors something much deeper. It mirrors relationship. You know, in James 1:19, it says, be quick to listen, slow to speak. And when we model attentive listening, when we model respective dialogue, we're teaching more than language. We're teaching empathy, humility, wisdom. So listening well is an act of love. And speaking truth and grace is also an act of courage. So we're going to now go into this week's materials that I want you to think about. Are you creating space in your classroom for meaningful talk? Are you allowing students to speak? Are they truly being heard? And when they listen, are they listening for understanding, not just to respond? Speaking and listening isn't just an extra language arts. They're really at the heartbeat of what we do with learning. So let's talk about what you're going to be working on this week when it comes to speaking and listening. So I'm going to go now to our module. And here is module 2. So I'm going to go to the overview. So you're going to expand your foundational knowledge of the 6 language arts by exploring how these modes interact in authentic literacy contexts. So our objectives are, we want to create strategies to foster discourse, active listening, and vocabulary. And we want to develop a lesson plan that incorporates oral language, syntax, comprehension. So those are the goals for the module. How will you do that? Well, under the Learn section, there are 4 or 5. I have to see, I forget what I populated. We have some articles to read. 4 different articles. Now, you do not have to read thoroughly all 4. I would like you to open up each of them, scan each of them, find the article that you are the most interested in, and that's the one you're thoroughly going to read. So scan all of them and then thoroughly read one of them, because you're going to need to know that for your discussion post. We have an article about vocabulary talk moves, using language to promote word learning. And that's a really good one if you're interested in that. We have one about setting the stage for talk, strategies for encouraging language arts, an article about giving feedback, and then an article about how oral language and writing connect. So that's your reading for this week. Let's talk about your 2 assignments. Okay, so the first assignment is consider one of the articles you read this week. Summarize 2 key strategies. So, what are 2 strategies that you learned from the article? What makes these effective for supporting oral language development? How would you implement them? And I want you to I want you to be specific, talk about the grade level, subject, and so forth. That is your discussion post. It is due on Saturday, and then you need to respond to one other person, and that is due Tuesday. Then you have kind of the larger assignment, and that is an oral language lesson, video, and reflection. So let's talk about this. You need to design, so you're going to write a lesson, and then I want you to implement it. Now, if you're not teaching, you can do this with one of your children. You could do it with a neighbor. If you are teaching it, you could do it with a small group of students, one student, a large group of students. It's up to you. But I want to see you working with children. You're going to videotape it. Not going to videotape the whole thing. You only need to videotape about 7 minutes of it. And then you're going to write a reflection paper. So let's talk about that. So the first thing is you're going to write a lesson plan. And in that lesson plan, I want to see things like talk moves. How did you develop the opportunity for students to talk? How did you elicit and scaffold student talk? Did you ask questions? Did you summarize? Did you make connections with the text? What about formative listening checks? How did you know that the students were listening? Did you gauge that and then adjust your instruction based on what you heard from the students? And then I want you to incorporate at least one additional language mode to reinforce understanding. That might be a quick write, a reenactment, a dramatic reenactment, or some way that you're going to assess their understanding. So I just gave you ideas for the lesson plan. You need your objectives, the standards, what text are you using? Why is this a good fit book? Most of you will probably do some type of an interactive read aloud for this, and so that's why I put interactive reading. You need some kind of an opening engagement to hook them. And then you get into the teacher prompts and talk moves. Then you would need an opportunity for students to talk. This is where I really would like the video to be in this part of the lesson. So it might be, about 7 minutes, 5 to 7 minutes, where you are going to be videotaping yourself, where I can see that you are asking those questions to promote oral language, and then you're getting and listening and responding to that. After you've done that part of the lesson, we need some kind of a way to check comprehension through maybe drawing, dramatization, a quick write, whatever you want to do. So you'll record that video. Then you will complete an assignment. A written reflection. It shouldn't be too long, maybe 1 or 2 pages, where you identify which strands. So like what was it that you were emphasizing? Vocabulary or listening and speaking. I want you to talk about your talk moves, explain how the students responded, and then explain, would you adjust this if you had a multilingual learner or a student with decoding problems or comprehension problems? So there's 3 parts to this assignment today. You have your lesson plan. Number 2, the video recording. It should be 5 to 7 minutes long. And number 3, the reflection. So to kind of conclude, what I hope that you get from this is that speaking and listening is an integral part of the overall reading and language arts program. It's really at the heartbeat of what we do for kids. A colleague of mine often says, the person that's speaking is the person that's learning. So are we giving our students opportunities to speak? And that could be through instructional discourse, which we're focusing on today, but also social type of discourse. Do we have those opportunities for our kids to talk? I think sometimes we're so busy telling kids not to talk and be quiet that we don't allow them. And I think if we would instead provide opportunities that I would say structured social discourse and structured instructional discourse. That's what our students need. And so that's the goal of this module, is to think about speaking and listening. So again, you have the 2 assignments. You're going to read, scan the 4 articles, pick one that you're really going to concentrate on. You'll write your discussion post on that. Then you have your lesson plan in which you're going to model speaking and listening. Then you are going to, after you do the written lesson plan, you're going to record part of that lesson. It could be 5 to 7 minutes, and then you have a reflection. Okay, that's it. I hope this will be an interesting module for you as you consider how you can help and grow your students in speaking and listening. Thank you.